Hey everyone, so I saw the good reception of my last video got, and as comments asked for an in-depth version. Also hit the like and subscribe button if you like these types of videos. So while the main video went over why people dislike Korra and a biased side comparing her to Aang, here I'm going to be going over why I think Korra is a realistic and interesting protagonist. And don't get me wrong, while I do like Aang more, I don't think the hate towards Korra is warranted. But it's fine to have opinions to dislike a character, and the flaws this show's writing has, because let's fucking face it, this show has a lot of writing problems. So don't take this video as the end-all be-all of Korra hate. If you end up not liking her still, or have some comments to go against what I say here, feel free to drop a comment below. I'm just here to vouch for my girl, but for this video, I'm going to be doing this by explaining her character arcs and growth throughout the series, from book 1 to book 4. At the end of each book, I'll explain her overall progress as a character. Here we go.
Nice.
Simra!
Oh, Jesus.
That a Glock in your pocket, or you just happy to see me?
Let's start on episode 1, when we first see Korra. This is, I believe, 80 years in the future from the original series. And now that Aang is gone, the White Lotus has been searching for the real Avatar after coming by many false ones. But soon they find out that Korra is the new Avatar. She, as a little girl, comes off as very brash and energetic. The fact that they didn't show airbending yet was a hint that she was more similar to someone like Toph than Aang with physical bending. We then skip to a scene where Korra is training her firebending with the White Lotus. While she is doing well, the first comment made about her when she's 17 years old is that she is strong but lacks restraint. This is a good hint that while she is good at bending, she is far from mastered it yet. This feels like a callback to when Aang was being trained firebending and being told that fire is alive and burns everything around it. Without restraint, he would burn others around him as well. Luckily, unlike Aang, Korra has many more instructors to help her with her training and help understanding these implications. That is one other big thing. Korra isn't being trained like any other avatar. The past avatars were allowed to find and bond with their bending masters, while Korra is being forcibly secluded and being trained by the White Lotus. While I would have loved a bending journey, it is not a big deal and I can move past that point. After her fight, she's told she has a hold on the physical side of bending, but not the spiritual. But while the White Lotus finds her not ready, Katara does. And it's interesting, since she has first-hand training with an avatar, so they let her learn airbending from Tenzin when he finds her ready. Later, Korra has a sit-down with the White Lotus member and Tenzin talking about when she will learn airbending. But the problem is, they don't find it safe for her to go to Republic City and Tenzin can't stay. So she slams the door in their faces and sneaks herself there to learn. Katara, before she leaves, says that it's now Korra's time and Aang's time is over. And after saying goodbye to her family before she leaves, showing she has a strong connection and love for her family, she makes it to Republic City after sneaking her way there on a ship. Now what's interesting is that this is her first time in a big public city. She's been secluded all of her life to learn 3 of the 4 elements and has no experience with the modern age. She literally runs through the street like it doesn't exist and fishes for her own food. Yeah, it's really funny to see an out-of-touch character. It then cuts to her walking into an equalist protest talking about the unfairness of non-benders in a bender society. Korra interrupts them by saying bending is the coolest thing ever. Her response to the protest now shows how ignorant she really is to the modern age and how bending has a hold on non-benders' lives. And that is one hell of a character flaw if you ask me. But it makes sense from someone whose life has been secluded and all about learning from the 4 elements. Next, Korra walks up to a couple of thugs robbing a man of his own money, and Korra pushes them to fight her, showing her first response to trouble isn't talk, it's violence. And after trashing people's property, showing again she lacks restraint, she's exposed as the Avatar after the fight and she gets arrested. After this, Tenzin breaks out of jail time and Korra tries to convince him to let her stay and learn. And Tenzin makes the choice to let her stay as she is Aang's legacy, and maybe she will help Republic City stay in balance. Now that was all the first episode, and what I can see is Korra is a violent, out-of-touch, ignorant Avatar who lacks respect for normal people. While it is hard to excuse a 17-year-old Avatar of acting this way, the way she grew up knowing nothing of the modern world and has lived with benders all her life shows just how much growth she will need in this show. Now, I'm going to go pretty quickly over what happens the rest of the season, so this video isn't an hour long, but I will be in depth. Now Korra has to learn airbending. If you remember, the Avatar has a struggle learning the element opposite to their personality. And while Korra fails for her training, that's completely fine. She's an amateur to airbending training. but she leaves early because it doesn't fit her personal needs. So later, Korra breaks into the pro bending arena and meets with my favorite silly little character, Bolin, and my least favorite character, Mako. The thing about the pro bending arena is you can tell this is where Korra feels most at home, being able to learn some tricks as well as being able to bend as she likes. Afterwards, she fails more training and gets so frustrated that she destroys a 2,000-year-old historical treasure, and even blames the training and Tenzin instead of at herself. At this point, I've got my hands on my face, because it makes very much sense not to like her here. She isn't taking any personal responsibility, and she thinks that lashing out like this is a fair way to act. So I can see why people just would not like her here, and it would probably push people away from the show more. But later, after she takes a spot in the pro bending tournament to help her new friends, it's reminded her thoughts on being the Avatar is to be strong and powerful. Tenzin reminds her that being the Avatar is much more than about fighting. And while she is in the tournament, she is using the skills she learned from Tenzin's training to keep herself from losing, showing she needed a different setting to get the hang of things. After this, she apologizes to Tenzin and even admits her faults, that she was just frustrated and took it out on him and the training equipment. And Tenzin admits that he needed to be a little more patient in order to teach it, and even points out that pro bending was her perfect teaching tool. I just want to say, I love Tenzin. He isn't perfect, but his admirable traits far outweigh his flaws, because you know he cares about everyone and wants people to be safe and happy. He's amazing. But now Korra is ready to stay on track with airbending training. Now, I gotta say, this next part starts a whole new level of hate I have for writing. Like, I cannot fathom why this show would waste our time with this fucking love quadrahedron. I hate this so much. Anyway, Korra offers to Mako to help find Bolin, who got himself into some Bolin shenanigans, later finding out and chasing Nicholas, who kidnapped him and his criminal friend, but they escape. Korra and Mako bond while resting while searching for the Equalist. Now, through this time, you can tell the show is putting Korra and Mako together like this for the very obvious reasons. And honestly, I didn't mind this. I thought it worked with these two right now, and it honestly had been hinted at that Korra may have a thing for him. Later, Korra and Mako disguise themselves and sneak into the Equalist rally, introducing a menacing villain named Amon, who proved himself that he has the ability to take people's bending away. Which is nuts, because the only person who'd been able to do that is Aang, and that was from getting it from the lion turtle. Korra is stunned by this revelation, scared even. And after he was able to take a man's bending away, Korra was off-putting while telling this to Tenzin. Later that night, Korra has a nightmare of Amon breaking in and taking her bending away. This is the series start of the Korra going through horrific events and it mentally scarring her for life. Her palms are sweaty, knees weak, arms are heavy. Mom spaghetti. You can see the horrific look on her face as Amon is making his public message. Bending has been ingrained in her life ever since she was a little girl. Just the idea of it being taken away by Amon is horrifying. Even soon getting proposed to be allowed to face Amon head-on with the task force, she surprisingly backs down. It's a huge moment considering how strong she comes off as normally and now showing her weaknesses in the face of someone of Amon's capabilities. Even Bolin just simply mentioning Amon freaks her out. Also, my boy Bolin is very sweet and gave her sweets to comfort her. Afterwards, Tenzin, the Giga Chad he is, notices something off about Korra and has a talk with her about telling her your fears are understandable and are alright to talk about. He states fear is okay, and being scared is normal, but to hold in your fears puts you out of balance, like how Korra is being. You can simply tell by Korra's expression she knows what is going on, but it's not easy to open up about these things. Now Tarlok manipulates Korra by inviting her to a party only for it to be a push to make her part of the task force. All by important questions of the public are coming up, and Korra is getting forced into a corner to join the task force. She had no reasonable response to the public, and with the sheer amount of stress she's been facing, backs down and does what is demanded of her. Korra and the task force are set on a mission, and Korra is determined that she has a personal obligation to do this after being pressured into it. But they succeed in the mission, and Korra is more confident in her words. She calls out Amon personally, and I believe she did this both out of facing her fears and taking responsibility to take him down. She's on edge the entire time she's waiting for him and then gets captured. The crazy thing about this is that Amon doesn't take her bending away. He instills even more fear into her. He wants her to be afraid of what he's capable of. She can't even look at him when he faces her. And after waking up and being knocked out, her first reaction to Tenzin is her opening up about her fear of Amon. And Tenzin states that opening up your fears is the hardest and first step to overcoming them. This next episode feels a bit out of place, because it's really just a shipping episode and the pro-bending episode. It didn't really have any major points other than my poor amazing boy Bolin missing despite all his efforts, and Mako starting to fumble all the girls he can like Captain Butterfinger he is.
Bolin, this isn't what you think. Great. Look what you did.
You're blaming me?
You kissed me.
You kissed me back!
Let's go.
No, I'm not going anywhere with you, you traitor.
Guess we'll have to do this the hard way.
Why?
I told you dating a teammate was a bad idea.
You're a bad idea.
My poor boy Bolin didn't deserve this, but I will say I'm happy to have Korra being a happy episode, and Korra and Bolin making up together as good friends.
Bolin, I'm sorry I hurt your feelings. I didn't mean to let things get so out of hand.
I'll be alright. But we had fun together, didn't we?
I had a great time, honestly. You are one of a kind, Bolin.
And I just want to say I love Bolin. He's a dumbass, like an actual idiot, but I love him, and nobody is taking him away from me.
Please, go on. I enjoy praise.
The next episode starts with Amon making a public message. Again, Korra's instinct is to sweat once she hears him, but she's got more of a determined look on her face now. It shows how she's grown after her near-death encounter with him and taking Tenzin's advice. She even tries to pull everyone together to face Amon to keep the pro bending tournament on, but the council declines. But Korra gets more support from Chief Beifong, who usually dislikes her, and Korra thanks her, but it goes to deaf ears. Also, I find Korra and Tenzin's interactions here very cute. Just seeing her tease him about Lin is really entertaining, and I love the way that these two bonded together. During the bending tournament, the Equalists have caused chaos, disarming the police as well as Korra and her group. I also love the moment in the attack where the broadcaster is commentating on everything. Also, Korra has been getting visions of Aang's past, but it's always been unclear, even up to this time. While Pabu breaks his friends out and Korra and Lin fight back against Amon trying to catch him before he escapes. Sadly, they fail, but then Lin saves Korra instead of chasing Amon full on, showing that they at least have some level of bond now. Next episode shows and disproves how Korra is just a rough fighter. Even someone who gave her a lot of crap, she still shows remorse and understanding of his losing his bending. I think people just remember the rough moments with Korra in season 1 and don't remember these soft-hearted scenes her actually caring about people. She isn't perfect, but she's not just some jerk that people make her out to be. The next scene is just a racing scene showing Korra and Asami having fun together racing a Satomobile. Later, Hiroshi Sato gets searched under suspicion and nothing is found. But Korra, Lin, and Tenzin are even more suspicious. Mako weirdly even went after Korra, saying it was about the relationship, but Korra is really just trying to do her job, and she doesn't really care if she has to lose him as a friend if it means doing the right thing. Later, during the raid of the Sato mansion, and when Korra and Lin prove Asami wrong about her father's hiding things, she just feels remorse and sorry for Asami about her father hiding things from her like this. And later, when everything is revealed that both Asami and Mako need to hide out from their father, Korra does everything she can to help them. Korra is not a spiteful person when it comes to people who genuinely need her help. The next day, Korra confronts Tarlok as being malicious, but then quickly gets put down by being called a half-baked avatar who doesn't even know airbending. Korra takes this to heart, but Tenzin gives her advice to look to her past avatars. And while she's crying along looking at the Aang statue, her friends remind her that while Aang was great at what he did, they are still here for her and they believe in her. Now the new Team Avatar make their way to stop the Equalist, and Tarlok doubles down on her not to get in his way. Later, once being an Equalist and non-Bender's curfew becomes illegal in law, The police turn off the power to a part of the city, and Korra is met with a challenge where she is questioned about being the non-bender's avatar too. And Korra, now knowing how unfair this is, and is a nice comparison to how she is now, is on the non-bender's sides. Back then, she said non-benders were oppressing themselves by speaking out, and now she's grown in understanding and fights for them. This is character growth. Sadly, Team Avatar gets arrested, and Korra and Tenzin go to get them out, but fail. Korra frustratingly chases down Tarlok, and the cool thing here is that it also shows another comparison to her in early seasons. She first speaks to Tarlok before fighting to get her word out and try to make him understand. It's only when Tarlok threatens her friend's freedom and she gets attacked does she actually fight back. Back then, she used to pick fights first before trying to settle it peacefully. This is character growth. It's subtle, but it's clear enough for people who pay attention. Sadly, when Korra is winning the fights, she gets stopped by Tarlok, who bloodbends her to submission and kidnaps her. And during this, she gets more visions of Aang. The next day, Korra is trapped in a metal container, and finding no way out. She takes Tenzin's advice and meditates for Aang's message. It honestly is nice to see how she is able to meditate when earlier in the season she couldn't even sit straight without giving up. But now she got the message that she needed, which was a warning of the bloodbending and Tarlok being Yakon's son. Tarlok then confronts Korra, but then gets jumped by Amon and his goonies, stopping him from bending. But then Korra escapes after they underestimate her resourcefulness, and Korra dips to not lose to Amon and gets knocked out. Luckily, Naga is there for her. The next episode comes, and Korra updates everyone on the situation with Tarlok getting kidnapped and losing his bending. The other councilmen get kidnapped by the Equalist, and war is starting in full. Luckily, Tenzin the Legend drops their asses with Black Air Force energy levels of airbending so impressive that he'd catch CJ DeChamp's attention. Hell, this whole time Tenzin is a fucking legend with his airbending and is taking charge. But anyway, Korra and the Team Avatar make their way to the city to be backup, and they say Tenzin is some badass bending action so he can clap the final one in a single shot. And later the Equalists invade Airbender Island, and the kids stop them after Lin can't take much no more. Also, they must have thrown like the least coordinated fighters at this island, because if some airbending kids can stop them, I don't know how they've been so effective against the city. Tenzin gets his new son and now tells Korra to be patient and wait for one of the coolest underused characters in the show to get in, and Tenzin gets him and his family away from the war as much as he can. So now is when we get a time skip where the Equalists have taken Republic City. Korra dislikes having to be patient to make her move, but does what is needed. Next, General Iroh makes his way to Republic City, and the city is dead with no movement. Quickly, the United Republic got ambushed with Iroh fighting them tooth and nail from his ship, but it fails. And Korra saves his life before he drowns. Iroh gets a message after Bumi, but Korra doesn't want to sit around and wait. She wants to strike Amon when it's least expected. So she and Mako make their way on a mission. Once taking their way on the Airbender Island, they find Tarlok hidden on the island as the only prisoner and revealed him as Amon's brother. And Tarlok exposes Amon as a bloodbender. Korra brings up the plan of exposing Amon as a bloodbender to end the revolution. And she thanks Tarlok even wanting to break him free. But Tarlok has other plans, so Korra and Mako make their way to Amon. Next in the bending arena, you see that Amon has made his message and has support to follow it. He speaks his lie to the public and continues to manipulate everyone. But Korra speaks out the truth to expose him and fails due to Amon taking precautions and putting on makeup. Amon then shows the surprise to Tenzin and his family trapped about to lose their bending, and Korra is shocked. Korra's instinct here is to run down and free them, so they do. One thing I like is how concentrated she is here, even in this high stress situation face to face with Amon. It's definitely a nice show of her fighting her fear of him, but he's definitely still got a small hold on her mentally, and after getting them out, she then finally loses her bending through Amon. The one thing that feared her almost as much as losing her friends, and now she feels defenseless. But Mako makes one final push against them to save the two of them. But Amon catches up and stops them from making their escape. This is the end. They're about to lose. But Korra, in one final ditch effort, attempts her airbending, and it works. Now, I don't know how she is able to airbend here considering Amon cut off her bending, but assuming it's a mental thing where she activated it on instinct and being pushed to the edge, I'll fucking take it. This was intense, and even after winning the fight, Korra was still worried that Amon got away. Luckily though, Tarlok put up this badass pose while ending it right then and there, sacrificing himself for the world's safety. A bit later in the future, Katara can't even recover Korra from Amon's bloodbending. She has lost hope of getting her bending back. She doesn't even see herself as the Avatar anymore, and while under this moment of grief, she pushes people away and keeps to herself. And Tenzin has some very wise words for people who simply need time to grieve.
We need to be patient with her. It will take time for her to accept what has happened.
Korra, now alone and saddened. No, left in despair of losing the other elements. Something that was so important to her, she dedicated her entire life to learning them. Aang comes in and tells her she was able to see him in the past avatars because she was now at her lowest point. And I'm sure after activating airbending and showing she was able to meditate to learn from Aang before, she now has more of a connection to the past avatars more than ever. And it makes sense when you add it all up. Now, that was the end of book 1. I would have to say Korra did grow from her experiences with Amon, Tarlok, the friends she had, the people who needed her. She really did. I can fully understand why the beginning part of the season people wouldn't like her. Hell, I made my fair share of roast on her behavior in this video, but I would be lying if I said what others think in regards to her just being some meathead it's just not true. She is a caring individual who wants to do the right thing. She holds the Avatar title with pride and tries her best by the end of the day to show why she deserves it. And her compassion for those who need help is what makes her an interesting character. And by the end of this video, if you still dislike her, that's completely fine. Everyone is entitled to their own opinion of a character. And this video was just my way of showing throughout the season that Korra has more than meets the eye. Alright, that was it. That was book 1 of Korra's journey as a character. Now I'll say here, this was tough being my first full video. I had to do writing, editing, watching, noting, photoshopping, etc, etc. If you want more, let's hit like 50 likes. Yeah, why not? Let's hit 50 likes. Alright everyone, if you got any ideas for another video you'd like for me to make shows on or anime, then let me know. You all take care. Goodbye.